Okay, good morning once more, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. My name is Lavenda Ocheng. I'm a research assistant at the Africa Research and Impact Network. I welcome you all to today's review session. Just a brief reminder, let's just mute to have a smooth session as well. So I welcome you once more to today's review session. This is a very interesting topic that we're going to discuss. The topic today is the role of renewable energy in energy transformation, looking at the short and the long run analysis of the various variables that are critical in fostering renewable energy achievement, or rather advantages in their energy transformation in Africa, and our focus target is West Africa. So just a brief introduction about the topic. We all know that renewable energy plays a very critical role in achieving the Paris Agreement of the net zero, that is the reduction or decarbonization of the fossil fuels that today we're relying on. So when we focus on renewable energy, we also know that we're trying to create job opportunities, as well as enhancing energy access, as well as energy security, even within the rural areas. And that's why everyone today is talking about renewable energy, they're just transitioning. But the key aspect is, do we really know how this transitioning is taking place? How are we going about it? And what does it entail? Or what does it even mean to the local communities? Like, what are they transitioning from and to where? So that's why a lot of researchers right now is focusing on renewable energy. We're trying to look into what roles do they play? How can we ensure that these roles are feasible, especially in the communities, the local communities there? And that's why we having this review session, just to peer learn and share knowledge about whatever we know and whatever we really need to do and adopt as scientists, and even the practitioners, the technocrats in the renewable energy space. So I want to welcome our speaker for today. Our speaker is Dr. Fama. She's a lecturer in economics and public policies in the university in Senegal. Let me just get that name exactly. Fama, sorry for that. She's a lecturer in economics and sustainable development, in the Public Policy Institute, that is the UCAD in Dakar, Senegal. So Dr. Fama is also an ARIN Fellow, and is also part of the LIVES team. So Dr. Fama, I welcome you to take us through your presentation. In case you have a question, a comment, maybe a review, feel free to write in the comment section, or we'll have a session towards the end of the presentation where everyone will be given a chance, to just air your view on the presentation as well. So Dr. Fama, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Lavanda. Thank you very much for the presentation. Good morning, everyone. Dr. Fama, as she said. So I thank ARIN for this opportunity that you gave me to present these results. So it is an study that I have done few or some months ago. So it is not yet published. So I was just working on it, and it is another opportunity to present it and to get some comments. Yes, so it is on the role of renewable energy in energy transformation in West Africa. So we did the analysis for the short and long run.
Munyara amount yo 300, 200, it reaching?
Is it okay?
247.274.79.
Can I go ahead?
Sorry about that. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, this is the outline of the presentation. We have 6 different points that we will develop here. So, as we all know, a fundamental climate action mitigation policy is actually the reduction of greenhouse gases, and through joint efforts, global targets aim to reduce carbon dioxide emissions to net zero by 2050, like you were saying, Lavanda. And it is on the same run that sustainable energy is planned to be the head of, sorry, I have to. Remove this line. I have a line to remove here. Yes, it's okay. So it is on the same run that it is planned that sustainable energy, is planned to be the spearhead of African's development plans. But there are a number of challenges that we have to overcome in order to get there. For instance, 48% of African population still have no access to electricity, and the rates of access to electricity vary across the region. For instance, in countries like Burkina Faso and Niger, the access to electricity is 20%. In Senegal, for instance, 50%. And it depends if we are in the rural or in the urban area. So African continent has embarked in a development path that will lead to a 100% increase in energy demand by 2030, just in very few years. So energy consumption is a source of emission. We can say that 73% of global emission is from energy consumption, and global targets aims to reduce this emission by 2050. As I was saying, energy is producing emissions. So it is the second source of greenhouse gases after land use change and forestry. Because we are not using too much renewable energy, like hydropower, for instance, it's only account for 20% in the total installed capacity in West Africa. And if we look at the potential, we have many sources of renewable energy, like wind power in Senegal and Mali. In Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea, Togo, we have many sources of hydropower, electricity. In solar energy also, we have it in many countries in West African, like for instance, in Burkina Faso, in Mali, and in Niger. So here we have look at the literature, and we have noted here some catalysts and obstacles to renewable energy development in West African region. For instance, weak regulatory and legal framework accompanied with high prices for certain technology, for mini grids, for instance. The lack of investment in decarbonization means the weak institution capacity are some obstacle of renewable energy development. But financial development and consumption of fuel, fossil fuel also compromise the development of renewable energy in West African countries, like for instance in Ghana. We also have the lack of good governance or lack of energy policy, which can provide, for instance, to get renewable energy investment less expensive. We have this the lack of this kind of policy, and this kind of policy are very crucial for the renewable development generation or renewable energy consumption in our countries. We also have other obstacles, the lack of local technical and organizational capacity. The available resources in West African countries, the demand for renewable energy, the investment environment or economic returns from renewable energy projects are some drivers of renewable energy development in our region. So according to the literature, and economic and financial development also can boost the renewable energy consumption. Like for instance, a long-term relationship is found between renewable energy consumption and the GDP per capita, between also the renewable energy consumption and trade openness, the foreign direct investment, the share of fossil fuel in energy consumption. So these different variables can have a positive impact on renewable energy consumption. And in sub-Saharan Africa, institutional and technological drivers are among the most important contributors to renewable energy development. So here we highlight the importance of the regulatory approach for renewable energy production or consumption in our context, like regulation, which are very relevant in economic approach for African transformation. We also have some other relevant economic approaches to energy transition, like the managerial approach, the sociological approach, and the technical economic approach, in addition to the innovation approach. Also, we can say that the government policy is very crucial to overcome certain challenges for renewable energy investment. But unfortunately, this institutional and regulatory framework is usually deficient in our region. Yet, the introduction and implementation of comprehensive policy tools can facilitate the access to clean energy for industries or for household use. And this is the way that we can transform African energy sector. So we have to emphasize all the plan that we have about energy into policy and measures. For the methodology, we have used a panel model because we wanted to analyze the push and the pull factors after reviewing it. So we have analyzed it for the considered countries in West Africa. So we have the panel model here, where Y represents the renewable energy production or generation, and X is a vector of explanatory variables. Q is also a vector of control variables. So we have 480 observations, since we have considered 16 countries, ECOWAS countries, in addition to Mauritania, and we have 30 years, 1990 to 2020, which gave us 480 observations. And we have used, in addition to the panel model, the autoregressive redistributed model, which can allow us to handle the long-term dynamics and short-term adjustment at the same time. So we have the energy consumption, have the function to all the variable to explain, which is function of fossil energy, the hydroelectric energy, photovoltaic energy, and biomass energy. So we have 4 kinds of energy. So one for fossil energy and 3 different kind of renewable energy has energy consumption in West African countries, and we use a logarithm for this function. So the panel is translated into these 3 different models depending on the unit routes. And as I was saying, we have 16 West African countries for a period of 30 years. And we have a first set of input variables like renewable energy production, which is a variable to explain, and the explanatory variables like foreign direct investment, the GDP, the official development assistance, CO2 emission, and for instance, the natural resource rents, domestic credits, and so on. A second set of variables also for the second estimation is the total energy consumption, renewable energy from hydroelectricity, photovoltaics, and biomass or wine. So we put biomass or wine because we have some data on biomass and some data on wine. So sometimes we interchange this. So it's why it is biomass or wine, because it was very difficult to get, for instance, energy only on biomass or on wine. So for the results, we have here a first table on the descriptive statistics of all the variables that we have considered in this analysis, like for renewable energy generation, income, foreign direct investment, CO2 emission, credit, unemployment, urbanization, trade openness, and the different type of energy that we have considered here. So for each variable, we have the stats like the mean, the median, the standard deviation, and so on. So this is, so in the second table, we have the test of unit root to see if all the variables that we use in the panel are stationary. So with the tests of level 0, only energy consumption and hydro energy was stationary. So we have done the first difference to see if some other variable will be stationary at the first difference, and we have most of the variable which become stationary at the first difference, like the renewable energy production, the foreign direct investment, CO2 emission, urbanization, trade, photovoltaic, and biomass. But still, that 2 other variable was not stationary at the first difference. We do the second difference, and unemployment and the fossil energy become also stationary. So at the second difference, we got all the variables that we have considered here stationary. So in this table 3, we have here the correlation test between the first set of variables. So if we look at this, we can see that none of the variables are positively or negatively correlated. So we can say that there is no correlation between the variables because the coefficient that we get here are not up to 5%. And we can say also that there is no multicollinearity, which is isolated from our analysis if we base on these results on table 3. So to know if we have to use the fixed or the random effects for the estimation, we have done the Postman test, and we've seen that the probability is less than 5%, which means that the fixed effect is preferred to the random effect. So we have run the random effect for the estimation based on the results that we get from the test of Usman. So this is the result from the fixed effect estimation. And if we look at it, we can say that the renewable energy generation is explained by the variables which are how to say it, significant here, like the foreign direct investment, the CO2 emission, unemployment, urbanization, and trade. So these are the 6 variables that we have found that they can explain renewable energy generation in West African countries. So if we try to give some explanation for each variable, how this variable can link to renewable energy generation. So the first one, the foreign direct investment, we've seen that the relationship between foreign direct investment in renewable energy is negative. This is the contrary of what we have seen on the literature, because we have seen that with the literature, foreign direct investment is usually positively linked with renewable energy generation because of innovation or something like that. But we have a negative link, and how we can explain it is the fact that maybe foreign direct investment have a negative impact on environment because they just, since it is investment, they are just looking for profile, so they don't maybe mind using fossil energy to have maybe very greater profile, and this can have a negative impact on the environment. Maybe it's why the relationship that we have here is negative. And also maybe since foreign direct investment is usually accompanied by innovations, maybe with these innovations, the demand for energy become, maybe it can reduce the demand for energy. And if the demand is lower, maybe the production of energy can be lower. And renewable energy is part of the all produced energy in our different countries. We also seen that CO2 emission is relatively linked with renewable energy generation, which is quite evident, because if we produce or we have more renewable energy, the use of fossil energy is less, and we will get less emissions. Also, we have a positive link between, or a positive result between unemployment and renewable energy generation, which is also quite different with what we used to see in the literature, because usually we have the generation of renewable energy, which is supposed to bring maybe supplementary job, and this used to reduce unemployment normally. But here we have the contrary, and the explanation that I can give here is maybe the renewable energy products, maybe renewable energy generation, when we do it, we usually need to import, how to say it, the equipment that we need, and it is not used to be accompanied by competence transfer. So the installation are usually done by foreign peoples, and they used to continue managing the maintenance of this equipment. So there is no competence transfer. So the employment that it was supposed to generate is gaining by foreign people. For urbanization, the link is positive. So if we have more, the urbanization is great, more the renewable energy generation is great. So we can explain this by the fact that urbanization can influence the lifestyle of people. So people will get to use or to produce more renewable energy, or we have new industries that will use innovation or new technologies for renewable energy generation. Trade openness also is related to renewable energy generation positively. So an explanation is that if the volume of exchange increase, we have the renewable energy consumption will increase. So according to the literature, and we also can say that if we exchange with other countries, we also have maybe to respect the policies which are applied in other countries. And as we all know, we are all, maybe most of the countries are in line with the Paris Agreement, which used to reduce CO2 emissions. So this is how I can explain these variables which are linked with renewable energy generation. So in table 6, we have the RDL estimations for all countries. So we have considered all the countries as a group here, and we did this estimation to see the long run estimation and the short run estimation between energy, the explanation of energy consumption, which one will be the most interesting or the most important between hydroelectricity, biomass, photovoltaic, and fossil energy in West African countries for the short and the long run. And here we can see that in the short run, we have the photovoltaic and the fossil energy, which are the most important in West African country. If we take all the countries as a group, and for the long run, all the considered energy sources are important, but the most important is fossil energy in the long run. So in the long run, fossil energy will be the most used energy in West African countries if we consider all of them as a group. So we also have done this co-integration test to testify or to validate the estimation or the IDL use, the model that we use. We have here the F, which is 10.4, greater than the critical value that we have here in 10.5, 2.5%, and at 1%. So here with these results, we can say that the use of IDL model is justified. I was supposed to present this table before table 6. So after this estimation of all the countries as a group, we have done another type of estimation to see if we will get the same result. So here we use the pooled mean regression. So we have considered the mean of the different variables that we have here to redo the estimation by using the same model. And here, if we look at the results, we can see that in the short terms, in addition to photovoltaic and fossil energy, which were significant, we have also the hydroelectricity, which become significant at the short run in the second type of estimation that we have here. And if we look at the long run estimation, we can see that the biomass is significant and not the photovoltaic, because in the first estimation, the photovoltaic was significant, but here it is not. But the biomass or wind energy, which was not significant, is significant in the second estimation. And if we try to combine all these two types of estimation, we can see that for the short run, energy from photovoltaic and fossil are on the top. So they are the most interesting or the most used in West African countries. And in the long run, we can say that energy from fossil, hydroelectricity, and photovoltaic are the most important in energy consumption in West African countries. For conclusion and policy recommendation, we can say that these results that we got suggest that action on renewable or variables such as urbanization, trade, and unemployment can enable African countries to increase consumption of renewable energy at the same time its production. We also have to encourage rapid and sustained urbanization, in addition to trade openness, as I was saying. So also according to this result that we got from the estimation, electricity production activities, for instance, for solar power generation, can be or should be initiated, and we have to encourage this type of projects on solar energy generation in all the countries, but mostly in rural area where we have the area used to be very sunny, and they used to have very high unemployment rates also. So in the long run, so according to the results, the fossil electricity will remain more important than hydroelectricity and photovoltaic electricity in African energy mix. So we have to reverse this trend by implementing policies which can allow to extract the potential of hydroelectricity and photovoltaic electricity. Since we have the fossil, the hydro, and the photovoltaic, which are the most important source of energy consumption in West African countries. So we have to also make hydroelectricity and photovoltaic the spread of energy mix in West African to maybe make the fossil energy less used in our area. So thank you very much. This is what I had to present.
Thank you, Fama, for that presentation. That was really, that was more of classwork. I mean, it was so detailed and needed a lot of attention. So maybe just a quick question. Also, there's an opportunity where you just feel free to ask any question in case you need some clarification, or you want to add something as well. Like Dr. Nantongo is here. She's also an economist, and she can advise us much more on such findings and the way forward as well. Amos is also ready to say something, but Amos, let me just go first, then I'll welcome you as well. So Dr. Fama, I really have some few follow-up questions. This, whatever you've done is in line with whatever actually I'm studying right now on the choice of variables, especially when you're looking at a given topic and how you want to have your hypothesis being tested and coming up with their solutions and even your conclusions as well. So the first question that I'll ask is the source of that data that you've used here. I've seen it's a panel data, yeah, where you have around 16 countries, if I'm not wrong. So where did you get that data? I think the period is from 1990 to something, 2000 there. Also, the choice of variables. What really led you to choose such variables in testing how renewable energy is functioning, or rather is being used in the energy transformation. And the last one is I didn't understand well about the models you used. Probably if you can explain more on the three models that you've used, how are they related? The first model, the second, and the third model as well. Fama, I hope you heard me.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I heard you very well. Thank you for your question. So for your three questions, the first one is the source of data. I didn't mention it, but all the data that I have used here are secondary data. So I got them from institutions like AIE, INERA, Global Electrification, or OMC. Maybe I can share these different sources. So I got them from maybe 5, 6 different sources. The World Bank also. So it's where I got all this data. And for the chosen variables, I look at the literature, what it is usually explain the renewable energy generation or production. So I have I didn't present the literature here, but I base on what exists, what's used to explain the renewable energy generation in different countries in the world, to choose this different variable that I have tested here. And for the method, so it is just
models.
The models, yes, it is from this model is used for an author. I didn't put the name here, but it is based on this panel model. Like I was saying, the Y is the variable to explain, like the renewable energy generation. We have here the potential variable, which can explain this renewable energy generation, like trade, urbanization, how to say it, CO2 emission, and so on. And here we have some control variables, which are variables that are not considered here in the potential explanatory variables. And it is based on this panel model that we have this different model, but this one just based on the deterministic component to see if the model has unit roads or not, to see if they are stationary. So before using panel, we have to test or to be sure that all the models are stationary, like they have their variable, they have their means, which are, how to say it, stable in all the period. So this different model is like linked to this unit road test that I have presented here. Oh, sorry. Yes, because we have tested the first level, the level 0, if all the variables were stationary. So we can say that, for instance, this level represents the model 1, this one the model 2, and this one the last model. So it is about or according to the level where the variable is stationary or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's explanatory. Thank you so much for that. Or probably you might consider sharing with me the links from where you got the data as well. I'll really appreciate that.
Oh, yes, no problem. I will share it.
Okay. Amos, I saw your hand. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, and thank Dr. Fama for the good presentation. A great work. I have a few concerns. One is there is a place in the results that you mentioned that foreign direct investments negatively correlate with the renewable energy in West Africa. So I was just wondering, it is just a point of discussion actually that we can just engage in, because we know our African setup the way we are, and what does this now place us in Africa, particularly in terms of the short-term aspects that you are looking in terms of this energy, in your own thinking. And then the second one, you talked about the, what do I call it, the factors, the triggers and hindrance. And you mentioned a lot of them. I'm happy that you mentioned institutional incapacity, which I also agree. But what's your take on the, if you look at it in the political economy point of view? Because we know in Africa, we struggle with a lot of things, political instability and a lot of things, and they influence a lot of our developments and projects. What's your take on this? Or did you capture it maybe somewhere, but it was not mentioned in this presentation? I think those are the only concerns that I have.
Please, can you come again on your second point, please?
The second question, I'm saying that you talked about the hindrance. There is a slide that was talking about the hindrance and not hindrance, I mean, but I don't know the term that you used, but there were triggers and something. But I chose it as something that triggers, those that are triggers are those that bar the implementations or consumptions of the renewable energy. And then you mentioned some of them that I was very happy about, but I was just thinking that what if you also look at it in the political economy point of view and look at the interferences or instability, political instability that is bedeviling our continent in terms of this energy consumption or transformation? I don't know whether you got me.
Yes, I got you, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for your questions. I noted them. So about your first question, it is on foreign direct investment, which has negative impacts to renewable energy generation in West African countries. So I was, as I was saying, usually we see results different from this one, because we used to see that foreign direct investment has positive impacts on renewable energy generation. But I got a different results. So as I was trying to explain it, so I was saying that since it is investment, the first aim or goal of the investor is to get profile, and usually they just come and use what is more available or the less expensive resources. And I think that it is fossil energy that they got the most, because it is made more available in our different countries. And if they use more fossil energy, so we will have maybe less, or the demand for renewable energy is less. And it implies that the production of maybe renewable energy is less, because we have more people using fossil energy. So it is why it is how I can explain this negative link. So maybe we can have more explanation, or a very different explanation about the negative link, but it's how I can explain it or how I understand it. So I don't know if it is okay for you, but for now it is the only explanation that I got. I was also saying that usually foreign direct investment is accompanied with technologies. So maybe with new technologies, we can have less demand for energy. Maybe the investor or the industry that they put in place will need less energy than usually because of this innovation that they are using. And if there is less demand of energy, we will have less supply of energy. And less supply of energy means less supply on fossil energy, but also on renewable energy. So maybe it is also another kind of explanation of this negative link. For the different factors that can improve or reduce or the pull or push factor of renewable energy production in West African countries, yes, as you said, I consider many variables here, but I didn't take into account the political instability, as you say. Maybe I can take it because, as you said, we have maybe 3 or 4 countries in this set of countries that I consider here, which know or which experience instability. Maybe it can be a very interesting variable to take into account, but I was not thinking about it. So maybe since it is, I'm still maybe working on this, maybe I can take it into account and integrate it in the different variables to see if it has a positive or negative link with renewable energy generation or production. Thank you very much.
I thank you.
Yeah.
Lavender, I can't raise my hand. Okay. I don't know why. I just don't see. So if allowed, I could speak, please.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, Lavender and Dr. Fama, especially for this great piece of work that you're doing. I really enjoyed listening to every part of it, and I learned quite a bit. I have a few comments, but I think first I want to pick up from the discussion that has been ongoing between you and was that Amos? Mm-hmm. Yes, around foreign direct investment. Of course, I think that you're going to have to explain this a bit because the result is very unexpected. I was thinking here though, because sometimes when we get this kind of results, sometimes it's because that's the actual result. Other times it might be because perhaps the model is not correctly specified, and maybe if you improve the model specification, you could get a better result. So I'm just going to try and talk a bit on both sides just to help us brainstorm together like what could be done on this particular one. So on one hand, you had some explanations there, and something just came up to my mind in addition to say that if this is an actual result, it could also be that a result which also means that the renewable energy investments that are ongoing in different countries in West Africa are actually being done by the governments themselves and not by international people, which would be a very interesting result and something that's quite important to look at, I think. It would mean that governments are actually putting in a lot of effort. I don't know if this makes sense to you, Fama, because I'm just, I'm just thinking. So,
yes.
Yeah, but that's one thing on the side of trying to find an explanation for if this is correct, if the model is correctly specified and everything is fine, but this is the right result. On the other hand, I'm thinking there could be a problem with the model. And perhaps if we improve the model, and this is what I was thinking, one thing which I saw that stuck out to me regarding the model was that, and again, Amos mentioned it a little bit on the political factors. Governance, you talked about it very much in the beginning about the regulatory environment and institutional factors, and I really expected to see that variable in the model, but it's missing. And so I would suggest perhaps that what you would do would be to include a variable on governance and see what your results become, because foreign direct investments, renewable energy, for example, in the East African region, if you look at Kenya, which has done a great job with its renewable energy investment, a lot of this money comes from abroad, and countries or donors and investors, they are very, very careful about political risk and internal regulation and regulatory frameworks. And this is one of the reasons why they would want to invest or not to invest in a particular country. And so you could think about including governance there, because again, governance is a key issue for renewable energy. Anyway, you're the one who talked about it. And you could look at the world governance indicators, and which are from the World Bank. The World Bank has those. You might also, I don't know, maybe you thought about this and didn't just include it for some reason. You might explain. Yeah, but you have the world governance indicators. You have this for every year in every country. So this will be very easy data for you to just add and then try to rerun your model and see. I want to go on to the next one, next comment. I don't know, Lavenda, if maybe Dr. Fama can respond to that so that I do not confuse her, or if I should just proceed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very
okay,
much.
then.
Go.
Yeah, thank you. Then on the second one, we are doing this almost exact piece of work, but for the East African region. And my colleague, Francis, actually was on the call earlier. I don't know how he dropped off, but, and we have been, one of the things that we were thinking about that we've been grappling with, because what we are doing is to understand what are the factors that drive the energy transition in East Africa. And we were looking at energy generation, energy consumption, renewable energy, which is exactly what you're doing. And then I think he had the third variable, which was carbon emissions in this case. And then we came to, okay, what variable should we include in the model? And this Lavenda actually mentioned it. What's the basis for what should go in or not go into the model? So in the beginning, Francis had an idea of using literature to get variables similar to what you have done. And then I was of a different view. I said, you know what, we could probably try to think about what explains the renewable energy transition. And then if we know the factors that explain the renewable energy transition, these are the factors that we should put in the model. And so I suggested to Francis that we try and I presented actually some work some time back on the drivers of the transition. And these drivers can be summarized in what is called a pastel model. Some of you have heard about it already. Pastel model, which includes political factors. It includes economic P for political factors, E for economic factors, S for social factors, T for technology, E for environmental factors, and L for legal factors. Legal and political could be added together as governance. But basically, in my view, and what I've been arguing all along with my colleague, is that if we do not have each of these variables represented in the model, then we are having some kind of we are omitting variables, and therefore we could get erroneous results from that, from omitted variable bias. So what I would suggest, Dr. Fama, and I'm very, very interested in fact, even working with you on this together with Francis, because we have also been really struggling with how to do this. Even when you think about like technological factors, what indicators should you use to measure like like progress in technology, but I think what I have seen in the literature has been like patents. If a country is has lots of patents, then they are probably more developed in terms of technology development, but there could be other variables that you could use. And on the political factors, I mentioned governance. And then when we think about, there is this factor on the environmental factors. It looks like not very straightforward, like why would environmental factors be there? But we know that a lot of the drive for renewable energy is due to the transition. And it could be that partly why countries decide to invest in the transition is if they are struggling, for example, with droughts, with floods and things like this. And this could also explain. I don't know how far right now the analysis is. Francis sent me a draft today. I'll look at it and see if he included this, and we could see like what results come out. But I just thought that maybe you could try to think about it like this, or you could just submit the paper as it is, and then you get comments and you see where you need to improve. But particularly this negative FDI, I think if I got that result, I would try to find out other things, plus unemployment as well. I was a bit curious on unemployment. Yeah, you explained it, but it's not very easy to explain. Yeah, so those are my 2 points. And then finally, just to ask or maybe just get some insight from you, do you think that the factors that affect generation might be different from those that affect consumption? Because this is a debate that we've been having in my research team. So I'd be happy to hear what you think about that. But once again, I'm really happy to follow your work, very interesting. But yeah, that's how research is. We try this and the other and see what makes the best sense. Yeah, so congratulations again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Maria, for this valuable comments. So I will start by your first comment, which is on the negative link with the foreign direct investment, but also the unemployment. As you said, we have here two unexpected results. And as you say, maybe it is maybe a weakness of the model specification, like you said, like I think Amos was saying also. So, and I think that you both are right, because if I look at the variables, we don't have one of the variable linked to the government, and as you mentioned also, I add maybe some information or many information about the legal or policy framework in West African, its importance on renewable energy or energy transition also. So I think that I have to redo this estimation by including governance variables or political factors in this model. Maybe I will get different results from this, as you both said. And thank you very much, because I didn't pay attention about these variables, because as I said, I don't have political or governance factors in this set of variables. So for your second point also, I congratulate you for doing a work on energy transition in East African countries. And also, I can say that it will be a pleasure for me to work with you if you are still interested. If you went, maybe we can look at again or try to improve this work that I have presented together, and maybe work in your on your paper also. You were also saying that you try to see technological factor, maybe the patterns can explain it. So maybe we can see it together, because I didn't look at this in my work. And you have finalized your intervention by asking a question about the factors for energy production and or generation. So when I was writing the review, many papers, they were interchanging the two terms. I was saying maybe some papers, they were using sometimes renewable energy generation or renewable energy production. So me, I use renewable energy generation because I think, I don't know in deep in some other countries, because in Senegal here, these two factors can be different, because the generation can be different to the production. We have some public projects. Yeah. So you was even mentioning that the investment is done maybe by governments. So it is the case in Senegal. We have many projects implemented by the government to produce renewable energy, and the production is directly generated to the monopoly that we have here. We have one monopoly which has the right to sell energy. So all the generated renewable energy is put in this monopoly for the use of other country. But we have independent producer here also in Senegal. We have independent producer. They produce the renewable energy that they also put in the monopoly for the sale or the distribution of this energy. But we also have how to say, rural electrification projects. They produce energy for their own consumption. We also have some private industries which produce their own energy. They don't have the right to sell it, but they produce it. They generate this how to say it. They generate their own energy or their own electricity through renewable sources. But I think, I don't know, but I think that it can be used for the same pattern. So it can mean the same usually. As I was saying at the beginning, most of the paper, they interchange these two terms, generation or production of renewable energy. But it can be, we can have some disparities or some differences, because what is take into account, or what is I don't know how to say it, what is considered like production of the quantity of renewable energy can be different to what is really generated. Yes.
I asked about the consumption and generation.
Okay,
Was
the
that
consumption, exactly, yes. So I think that it is the same explanation.
It's the same, okay. The
Yes.
reason why I'm asking is because we've been having a philosophical disagreement on, because one of my colleagues has been running two different models, but with different, anyway, I don't think I need to go through a lot of the detail, because thank you, you agreed to that we can connect and discuss this a bit more. Yes. And I can tell you the detail of this year, because I was having a bit of a problem, like in terms of the modeling, okay, of these two variables. But yeah, we can speak more, and we can also share, like I can share with you the work that we've done, and you can share this. You can, first of all, I think start to just integrate these new things and see what the results are, and then we see.
Yes, you can do it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that was an interesting one. I hope some of us who are not in economics are learning something here. Choice of models, the choice of variables that you want to do in case you're doing a certain research in a given, to just justify your findings. All right, so time is much spent. I really don't know if Dr. Gueye is amidst us. Dr. Gueye, if you can hear me, please.
Lavender.
Washington, just a minute. Is Gueye around?
No, he's not.
All right, okay. Florence, I'll welcome you just to give some few takeaway or take-home messages before I welcome Washington. Florence? Can you hear me, Florence?
Yes, Lavender, good afternoon. And
Good afternoon, go ahead.
what exactly am I supposed to?
Just give us a quick recap of whatever you've just understood in case you have a comment as well.
Okay, I think that was a well-researched discussion by Dr. Fama. We all agree that renewable energy plays an essential role in Africa's energy transformation. And therefore, it's not just about West Africa, but across the continent. The vast potential for solar, wind, and hydroelectric energy provides an immense opportunity for transitioning to a just and a more sustainable energy system in the continent. However, I think this transition will face is facing a lot of challenges, including infrastructure, policy bottlenecks, and limited access to capital. In my view, the most pressing challenge is Africa's current energy gap, with millions still lacking access to electricity. And of course, this energy stifles socio-economic development, and it traps communities in poverty cycles. Now, Lavender, the paradox is that despite this immense need that we have for energy, Africa is endowed with some of the world's most abundant renewable energy sources. Solar energy in particular is untapped, yet the continent boasts some of the highest solar irradiance levels globally. Now, if we harness this efficiently, I think solar power could electrify entire regions and boost local economies, especially in rural areas. And therefore, I think initiatives like the Kenya's push for decentralized solar energy systems and that one of Rwanda, the solar mini grids, offer promising examples that could be replicated across the entire continent. Other than that, I also think the integration of renewable energy has the potential to catalyze industrialization, and at the same time reducing the carbon footprint in the continent. We are largely reliant on fossil fuels, and this trend can be reversed through renewable energy investments. For example, countries like South Africa are leading efforts by incorporating wind and solar power into their energy mix. And this, I believe, is significantly reducing their reliance on coal. And I think if we can scale this across other regions with stronger regional cooperation, and of course, technology, expertise, and funding will really go far as solving the energy crisis is concerned. Now, another factor that I think is critical as far as Africa's renewable energy transition is the political will. Countries with proactive policies and incentives have greater uptake of renewable energies. For example, Senegal's ambitious clean energy and Morocco's giant solar farms are a demonstration that the continent has potential when governments prioritize sustainable energy. But for widespread adoption, there needs to be coordinated efforts among African governments to provide favorable investment environment regulations and to ensure transparency of energy projects. So I think these are discussions that we should continue beyond such forums. But for now, I think I'll stop there. Back to you, Lavender. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Florence. Thank you so much for those key insights. I hope if you didn't get anything from this presentation, that one should be a takeaway message. Washington, kindly give us the closing remarks. Kanyange?
Hi, Lavender. Thank you. Thank you, Lavender. Thank you, partners. Thank you, Dr. Fama, for gracing our Friday review with your brilliant work. And from today's discussion, we as Africa think tanks believe renewable energy is critical for Africa's sustainable development as envisioned in our respective country development plans, and also the Africa Union Agenda 2063, which clearly states Africa's economic development agenda should thrive from its vast renewable energy resources and its potential. However, the main challenge has always remained the financing gaps in implementing the Africa NDC under the Paris Agreement. So the financing needs, it's approximately 2.8 trillion US dollars for the period 2020 2030. Yet, according to the Climate Policy Initiative, climate finance flows in Africa stand at only 30 billion USD. To further put this into perspective, the Climate Policy Initiative states that Africa needs approximately 133 billion USD annually for its clean energy investments, yet only 9.4 billion USD is what is being pumped into its annual renewable energy investments. And therefore, what can Africa do to bridge these gaps without entirely relying on our international development partners? Because one thing for a fact is that renewable energy is with us. For instance, in Kenya, Lake Turkana wind power project, which supplies 15% of Kenya's electricity demand. We have this solar park in Egypt, which has a capacity of 1.8 gigawatts. So the only aspect to me, that is missing is scaling and replication on the existing infrastructures. So one thing, of course, that comes to my mind is innovative financing mechanisms. And I'm talking about instruments such as green bonds, climate bonds that are tailored for African markets. What about respective regional cooperation? I'm referring to pooling resources for investing and scaling renewable energy infrastructure. And how can initiatives like Africa Renewable Energy Initiative can be leveraged as an investment vehicle? Let's not forget about research and development. Africa needs to realize that this is a critical component of aspects aspects to do with sustainability of renewable energy investments. We don't need to rely on the West and East for solar panels and technical expertise for decades and centuries to come. Let's strive to build our own value chains, as it's high time for Africa to be self-reliant on this front. And Africa has all the necessary raw materials to realize this. Lastly, policy frameworks. With the as the Africa think tanks, to what extent are we informing continental and intercontinental conversations on renewable energies for Africa and, of course, our respective regions and countries? How are our social and physical science findings informing our respective national policies on energy? For example, Dr. Fame's work, how close are we with our local representatives to have candid conversations that, hey, our village experiences sunshine the whole year, yet we are in darkness, and that from our findings, we believe the village local economy can be triggered by decent investments in renewable energies such as wind and solar. Then with regards to our industries, in Kenya's case, we realized that our air quality regulations do not have a clause on requiring the industries to transition to newer technologies that are energy efficient and energy friendly as well. So it is up to us, to highlight these policy gaps in our respective country policies and make a business and moral case on why they need to be filled so as to attract interest from the political class, who are more often than not the gatekeepers. So it is a matter of being intentional and proactive. And with those few remarks, thank you. Back to you, Lavender.
Thank you so much, Washington, for that very, very heavy conclusion. I can say that is very heavy. Let's strive to build our own value chain. We have all the necessary raw materials to realize this. And also, we need policy. We need to address our policy gap that can attract our interested or our politicians across. And another one key thing that came out is converting, or rather having our objective transformed into policies. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining this review. That was very insightful. At this time, I'll just, Fama, will you mind stopping sharing your screen so that I request Nancy from ARIN to help me take the final group photo. Nancy? Nancy?
Yes, can you get me, Lavender?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. Help us take the final group photo.
Okay, let's give our people just a minute to turn on their cameras.
Okay, people, Nancy is giving you 2 minutes to turn on your cameras. And you can smile.
Yes, please. Lavender, thank you, that's done.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Fama. Thank you, Dr. Nantongo. Thank you, Washington. May you have a fantastic weekend ahead, and let's touch base last Friday of this month. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice week. Okay.
You too, you too.
Yeah. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.